I would say welcome to everyone to the Soquel Creek Water District meeting for December 21st. I want to thank Rochelle for doing a great job as president this past year. I bet you'll be doing it again sometime in the future. And then next year at this time, Carla will be president. So, and I think, we've done well, with all of everything going on in the world, we're still moving forward and making a difference for our water supply. So thanks. We are ready for a roll call, and then we will be going to closed session for 25 or 30 minutes.
Roll call, Director Daniels.
I am here, thank you.
Vice President Christensen.
Here.
Director Jaffe.
I am here.
There he is.
Oh, he came in right under the wire.
Director Lather. Here. And President LaHue.
I am here. All right, so see everyone back here at 6:30 for the regular meeting while we go to a closed session. So ta-ta for now.
Wait a minute,
No-
public
no
hearing?
public comment.
Public comment. Is there anybody?
There's no one on the line currently.
Okay. All right. See you in closed session.
Well, it's 6:30. So I think do we have all the board members back? Let's see, I see.
I believe Director Jaffe is not with us yet.
Director Daniels is there. I see a picture.
Well, there's a person behind the picture.
Ah, good. There's a voice behind that picture. Great. So we don't have Dr. Jaffe back yet, but it is 6:30. Okay. Well, we are back, and there was nothing to report from closed session, no reportable actions. Correct, Josh?
That's correct. Thank you.
Okay. And there are no public hearings tonight. Next item is to see if there's any board members who would like to remove an item from the consent agenda. let's see. I don't know how, I'll just ask and I'll just go through everybody. So Rochelle, do you have any?
I do not.
Okay. Bruce Daniels?
I have nothing either.
And I still don't see Bruce Jaffe. So Carla? You're on mute?
No, I don't have any.
Okay. All right.
Right
Is there
here,
any
right
public
here.
comment on the consent agenda? Oh, Bruce Jaffe, did you have anything to remove from consent?
No, I do not.
Okay. So are there any public comments on the consent agenda? Or anybody that is online that wishes to either raise their hand, or I think dial number 9, there's a way to raise your hand.
Yeah, President Hughes, *9 if they're on the telephone.
*9, okay. So *9 if you're on the phone. Otherwise, there's a raise hand feature on Zoom. Either of those will work. So is there anyone that wishes to speak on the consent agenda? I can't see, so I'll have to see if. Emma,
I'm not seeing any raised hands.
okay,
President.
all right, then I'll entertain a motion or a discussion from the board.
I move we go on.
So meaning approving the consent agenda?
Correct.
I'll second.
Okay, seconded by Director Lather. Roll call, please.
Director Daniels,
Yes.
Vice President Christensen,
Yes.
Director Jaffe, Director Jaffe,
Yeah, I'm muted. Sorry. Yes.
thank you. Director Lather,
Yes.
and President LaHue.
Yes. Okay, thank you. There we'll move on to oral and written communications. So are there any members of the public that wish to speak in this particular item? Once again, *9 or raising hands.
Yes, we have one raised hand.
Okay,
Ms. Steinbrenner, your mic is available.
Hello, this is Becky Steinbrunner. Can you hear me?
Yes.
yes.
Thank you. Well, first of all, happy holidays to all of you, and all the best for a good new year coming up. I want to point out that at your board's request, at your last meeting, I did forward the board the link to the 2020 study performed by Stanford University showing that effluent from advanced water treatment facilities using reverse osmosis has a much higher level of contaminant in the effluent than does the treated source water. So I did not receive any acknowledgement of that email, and I note that it is not included in your correspondence for tonight's meeting. So I would like that corrected, please. Please, for the benefit of the public, include my email with that link. And I would appreciate a response from any of the board members. You did ask for it, and I would like at least an acknowledgement that you have received it and your thoughts on it. Second of all, I would like to ask that that the district once again put hard copies of important documents in the public libraries. Right now, as you know, the Capitola Library is the only library in the area that is open. Aptos is closed and soon to be demolished. Live Oak Library is not open yet from construction and not expected to be open for a few months, but the Capitola Library, as a result, is very, very busy. There are no documents there at all for the public to view regarding the Pure Water Socal project, EIR, or either of the two addendums. And I request that you make those materials available to the public. yes, they are all online, but there are many people who do not use a computer but are very interested in these projects. And so if you could please make those documents available in a hard copy in the reference section of the Capitola Library and thank you, and the downtown library, because it is in conjunction with the City of Santa Cruz. This project is proceeding. I would appreciate it. Many people would appreciate it, and it would support transparency. And also, if you could please put a hard copy of the agenda packet in the Capitola Library. Your board discussed doing that, and then COVID came, and all the libraries closed down. But they're open now, and I, again, respectfully request that you
Thank you,
provide a
Ms.
hard
Steinberger.
copy.
Your time is
Thank
up.
you.
Are there any other members of the public who wish to speak during oral communications?
There are no other public members online, President Leahy.
Okay, I just wanted to mention that there is also the La Selva Beach Library in the area, and I'm also in favor of having a paper copy available at those locations. Looks like Bruce has your hand up. Yes, sir.
Oh, you got it. Good, good, good. I did take a look at the report that Becky sent tonight. Once again, I think there's some confusion here. And it was the report was on treatments of the reverse osmosis concentrate. And that's a totally different issue. Totally different issue than the water itself, the concentrate that's created. So I got something different out of reading that report than has been summarized by Becky.
Thank you. Anyone else in oral communications? Board members? Okay. I don't see any other hands raised. So next we have an oral report, District Council.
Thanks, President Leahy. Just very briefly, just an update on some of the legal issues related to COVID. The first, I'm sure the board saw that the governor's issued another statewide mask mandate in light of the new variant. In addition, federal appellate court recently dissolved the stay on the president's executive order, which requires COVID vaccine or regular testing for large employers. This doesn't directly affect the district given our size, but something that we're certainly monitoring as that issue develops. Importantly, there in California, with the way that workplace safety is regulated, Cal OSHA actually is required to issue regulations to implement the federal executive order, and we anticipate them doing so shortly, given the new court direction. The Sixth Circuit, which was the appellate court that dissolved the stay, their ruling is appealable to the Supreme Court, and an appeal has already been filed. It's unclear when the Supreme Court would rule on that, but given the emergency nature of the issue, it's likely in the next couple of weeks. Happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Any questions from board members? Not seeing any raised hands or any one trying. Okay. That's just an oral report. So we can move on to administrative business. There are no conditional and unconditional will serve. So we'll go to item 7.2, which is the financial report for fiscal year 2020-2021. And who is introducing that?
Leslie will introduce this
There she
evening.
is.
So tonight we are bringing our annual comprehensive financial report for the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2021. And tonight we do have our audit partner, Jonathan Foster from Davis Farr, who will give a brief presentation on the financial aspects of it. But before we got started, I did want to point out a couple of items. Number one, I do want to acknowledge Ryan Kinney, our supervising accountant, because he has put a tremendous amount of work into both the audit work as well as preparation of the annual comprehensive financial report. And so kudos to him. He's done a fantastic job. He works well with the auditors, and he reviews everything that I put together and provides his input, and he puts together the management's discussion and analysis as well. So he's done a terrific job again this year. The other thing I do want to point out is this report used to be called the Comprehensive Annual Financial Report, and we would call it a CAFR for short. And the Government Finance Officers Association changed that for upcoming years to call it the Annual Comprehensive Financial Report. So I guess we'll be using the acronym ACFR instead, because the other was a derogatory term in South Africa. So they didn't want to have that out there connected with our financial reports. So going forward, it will be the ACFR, or the Comprehensive Financial Report. And so I will pass this over. Oh, the other thing I do want to mention before we get too much farther is we typically take this opportunity as well to assess what funds can be moved into the Capital Facilities Reserve. And the reserve policy indicates that if we have an increase in unrestricted net position, those funds can be moved over to the Capital Facilities Reserve. However, although we had a large increase in unrestricted net position this year, that increase was due primarily to grant proceeds and a one-time legal settlement. And so we backed those out, and by doing so, discovered that there actually was not funds to move into the Capital Facilities Reserve this year. So that being said, I'm going to go ahead and pass this over to Jonathan Foster, and he'll go ahead and present our financial statements.
Thank you, Leslie. Let me share my screen here. Okay, that should appear on everybody's screen. Can everyone read that okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. I want to take this opportunity to thank the board and thank Leslie and Ryan. I echo exactly what she said. They were well prepared for the audit, very responsive to myself and staff's questions, and helped meet all deadlines as necessary. So thank you again for that. I wanted to start describing some of the audit reports that we issue within the annual comprehensive financial report. As Leslie mentioned with the new name, is our opinion on the basic financial statements. Within that opinion, we issued an unmodified opinion. That's the highest level of opinion you can receive during an audit. Now, what that means is that the auditors did not need to make any modifications to the opinion. So when you see that term unmodified, that is the highest level you can receive. We also issue a report on internal control over financial reporting. It is in this report, if there were items to note regarding internal controls, we would report that in this letter. I'm happy to note there were not any items to note this year. And the last letter we issue is a summary of audit results that is addressed to the board that just describes the outcome of the audit. One of the things I like to do is communicate to the board upcoming accounting standards that may affect the district. There is a new accounting standard, GASB 87. It was delayed due to COVID. It will be required to be implemented by all government agencies next year. And what this does is previously, not all leases have to be reported in your financial statements. What changes is all, and I use the term material leases, meaning those large enough that would have an impact on the financial statements need to be recorded. So next year, we'll be evaluating that with the district to see if there's a financial impact, if any. So I wanted to touch briefly on some of the areas of audit focus this fiscal year. Internal controls. We perform remote walkthrough of internal controls, make sure there's proper segregation of duties in all areas, and design our audit procedures around that. Capital assets. We look at your records of capital assets and also look at the activity, the capital activity that's happening during the year, and make sure that is being recorded correctly in your financial statements. Pension and OPEB obligations. We look at the third-party actuarial reports, review the information provided to us, and make sure it's appropriately recorded in the financial statements. This year, there was quite a bit of debt activity. We spent quite a bit of time in this area, and what we do as auditors is we evaluate the journal entries provided to us by Leslie and Ryan, recalculate certain numbers, and make sure they're reported correctly in your financial statements. So at this time, I'd like to explain to the board some of the changes that appear in the financial statements. Let me just bring up my notes here. So I'll start with current assets. What you'll see in current assets, there's quite a large increase, about 11.5 million. The largest driving factor here, you'll see an increase in that other receivables line. You'll see 12.6 million there this year. Last year's less than $500,000. And what that is mainly due, and I'll show you on the income statement a bit later. These are grant receivables that are outstanding and invoiced by the district. So you'll see that large increase in your other revenues due to grants awarded to the district. The current outstanding balance of those receivables as well as of year end when we completed our audit was about $10 million. You'll see an increase in non-current assets as well, and that's mainly due to your capital activity, your construction in progress. So there's capital activity that's ongoing with the district, and you'll see that increase there in your capital assets. So moving on to current liabilities, you'll see an increase there of approximately $2 million. What stands out at first glance is accounts payable, that first line item on there. So there's an increase in that account, and that's due to the timing of invoices from your contractors. So depending on the timing of capital projects and when the district gets invoiced and pays them, that's a temporary difference in that account. You'll see a lot of activity, a lot of changes in your non-current liabilities. You'll see the certificates of participation that the district once held. Those were refunded by other debt. And so you'll see new line items there of revenue bonds and other long-term liabilities under the non-current liability heading. And those other long-term liabilities, there's more information within in note 6. That is the district's WIFIA loan and the revolving line of credit. So moving on to the district's activity for the year, for the fiscal year, you'll see operating revenues increased about $3 million or 13%. And those sales, the water consumption sales, that's due to a combination of increased consumption and a rate increase that occurred during the year. You'll also see below that other charges for services increased. And what the district was able to do during the year, they were able to recognize what is called water demand offset credits, which caused the increase in that account during the year. You'll see on the expense side of things, they increase at a rate lower than your increase of revenues, hence the strong operating income as you see at the end of the year. Move on to my notes here. So expenses only increased at a rate of approximately 7%. Which was outpaced by your increase in revenues, which contributed to your operating income results during the year. On the last part of your statement of revenues, expenses, and changes in net position, you'll see the largest swing here was your non-operating revenue. As Leslie mentioned earlier, this is a one-time revenue in this account of a legal settlement. So there's a legal settlement reported in there and sale of an easement from the district. So these are one-time charges that are non-recurring that the district recognized during the year. And below under capital contributions, you'll see that activity for state capital grants. Again, these generally aren't recurring charges to the district as these are grants that the district is able to get reimbursed for once they invoice the State Water Resource Control Board. So at this time, I'd like to open it up for any questions that the board may have. Stop share.
Tom, you're muted.
I can see a hand from Director Daniels.
Yes. I was looking at page
Don't
one.
we have to have public first? But Tom's muted. Tom, you got to unmute yourself.
We can do public comment first.
Sorry.
Or answer questions. It's the
Sorry.
board's pleasure.
I wanted to, we can do questions while the speaker's talking right now and then do public comment, correct?
If we wish, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine to do, sorry, I was muted and trying to get things going and nobody was responding. I just don't know why. So why don't we go ahead and hear Bruce Daniels' question and then we'll go to public comment.
On page 123 of the document, or page 123 of 850, it's page 33 of the document. It talks about the difference between the assets plus deferred outflows of revenues and liabilities plus deferred outflows. And I think that should be, the second one should be deferred inflows, shouldn't it?
Director Daniels, can you give, we've got it up on the screen, help direct us to it a little bit better?
Okay, it's on the right-hand side in the second paragraph, right about there, yes. Those two lines.
Yes, that is correct. That should be adjusted. And
We can take care of that in the final copy. Yes, thank you for pointing that out, Director Daniels.
Okay, good. Thank you. That's it.
Okay, why don't we take public comment and then we'll go with further discussion.
Sorry, I lost my control there for a second. Okay.
It happens to all of us.
Ms. Steinbrenner, your mic is available.
Hello, this is Becky Steinbrenner. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. I am not able to see the screen that you have there. I'm coming in only by telephone, and because of the volume of tonight's agenda packet, I cannot download it on my computer. But luckily, I did review it from the public library, and I have some comment that I sent to some other people that are also interested in your financial status. I have a question. I'm happy to hear the reason the net position has increased so much is because of a one-time settlement. Can you please make known what the cost of that, what the amount of that settlement was for public transparency? I didn't see it anywhere in the report, but I could have overlooked it. Also, why have all the costs increased except the cost of pumping and treating the water? I'm quoting from page 187. I note that the water demand offset fees have become quite a lucrative revenue source for the district, but what is the district actually doing with that money? I am aware of the conditions for the use of that money, and it is to actively offset the increased demand using a project that would not have been done otherwise. And I don't see any discussion about that. That's page 186. Page 191 shows that the County of Santa Cruz is the largest single customer of the district. And I think it's probably irrigation. So that would support the district action to put recycled water, purple pipe, for irrigation to certainly the county parks and those places like that. That's all I have noted. So I don't know what else you've got because I can't see it.
Thank you, Ms. Steinbrenner. Your time is up.
Is there any other public comment?
There are no other public members online, President
Okay.
Lee.
Then let's see, any other questions from board members? Bruce Daniels, you had one, but did you have an additional one? Okay. And Bruce Jaffe, let me see, I'm looking for hands. Don't see Bruce. Where is he?
I'm
Here we
here.
are. Okay, do you have any questions or?
Oh, I do not.
Okay, Rochelle?
Sorry,
Questions or
I don't
comments?
have any questions either.
Okay, Carla?
Well, I can't find it on the report, rescanning it through it, but I just had the one question. I noted that our budget had a level we had it made budget in selling water. And I wondered what the fiscal implications of that were. But I can't find the graph. I know it's in there.
I think Director Christensen, that you may be referring to the finance status report that was presented earlier on the under consent agenda.
That could be.
And that would be, yeah, that would be.
I first looked there for consent agenda, but I thought, oh, I got it all wrong. It was in the 7.3. So
that refers to the budget for this year, 2021-22, whereas the financial report was fiscal year 2021. But you are correct. We are not meeting our budget expectations on water consumption. So
yeah, so actually that was the only thing I was going to comment on in the consent agenda, but I then either. So, thank you. I appreciate that. It is of concern, and it's one of those wondering how we got there kind of a question. So thank you.
Okay. I just had one thing, two things really. One is just that it's another great report where it's not just a financial report anymore. And I see, Ron, you have your hand up, so I'll get you in just a sec. But also just, and so thank you to Leslie and Ryan and anyone else who helped on it, because it's kind of a really well done piece of work. And I love getting an unmodified opinion. So, we're doing well. So I had just a type correction on page 111 of 850.
President, right, can you give me the, okay.
You're there. You're at the right spot. So right at WaterWise Academy, it unfortunately has the comment that was also under water quality testing. So it's not the appropriate paragraph that should follow that.
Okay, thank you for pointing that out.
Okay, so I mean, that was the exact same paragraph that was on the previous page under water quality testing. So we just need to put whatever the description of the WaterWise Academy should be. Okie doke. Let's see. And then I just wanted to look and see if there were no other questions, then we would entertain a motion to accept the not comprehensive annual, but annual comprehensive financial report.
I think you're going to go to Ron first before you do
Oh,
that.
wait, Ron had something. I'm sorry, Ron.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. We do this year after year, and it's something that we can just get routine, but I just like to just, I know y'all know it, but just, shout out again, year after year, they've been getting a certificate of achievement for excellence in financial reporting and other recognitions too. And so, finance is really a backbone of any organization. So I just can't let that go each time without just recognizing Leslie and Ryan's contribution. So thank you for that opportunity to state that.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Ron.
I'll make the motion to accept this document, a wonderful thing that it is.
I will second. Yes, I appreciated it. I enjoyed reading both of those reports, but yeah, they started blending in my mind. But this one is achieving a standard that we've just come to expect, and it's a very high standard indeed.
Right. So thank you. It's been moved and seconded. So roll call, please.
Director Daniels,
Yes, please.
Vice President Christensen,
Yes.
Director Jaffe,
Yes.
Director Lather,
Yes.
and President LaHue.
Yes. Great. So now we'll move on to item 7.3, which is the country club replacement well and the removal water treatment plant for 123 TCP. Who is going to lead that one off?
I'm going to introduce it, but Annalise Miller and Megan Jones are on a panel tonight, and Mike Wilson's also on the phone. Or actually, he's maybe online too. Good evening. You might have been following over the course of several years our our path with our country club well. And here we are tonight to consider the final CEQA assessment that was done by Rincon Consultants. Annalise Miller and Megan Jones led up that effort. And before you tonight is the final initial study mitigated negative deck. In addition to that is a response to comments document and also a monitoring, mitigation, and reporting plan. I'm gonna hand it off to Annalise. I think she's gonna lead a short presentation for your viewing. And then after that, we can carry on with our administrative business, if you will. Annalise.
Thanks, Taj, and thank you, board, for having me back again at the meeting to talk about the project. So tonight, as Taj mentioned, we are considering the Country Club replacement well and 123 TCP water treatment plant. Next slide. And as Taj mentioned, we have some project team members in attendance tonight. Taj is here, as well as Mike Wilson from the district, and then there's Megan Jones and myself here again from Rincon Consultants. Next slide. So where we're at in the CEQA process is we're at the tail end. You can see it's the second from the right box where the project has come before the Soquel Creek Water District Board of Directors for a decision on the project. So up to this point, what we have done is prepare the initial study and the mitigated negative declaration. Those were circulated for a 34-day public review period because it was over the Thanksgiving holiday. So there are a few extra days added on there. And during that time period, the public and agencies submitted comments on the draft ISMND. The district has since then prepared the final ISMND and the mitigation monitoring and reporting program. And that is what is before the district board tonight for a decision. And after the decision is made, should the district approve the project, the notice of determination will be filed with the county clerk, and then responsible agency decision-making bodies such as the County of Santa Cruz will consider the final ISMND when they consider the project for their own approvals. Next slide. So this is a brief summary of the public comments received on the draft ISMND. There were 2 public agency comments received, one from the State Water Resources Control Board and one from the California Coastal Commission. There were also 7 comments received from members of the public, 5 of which were written comments and 2 of which were verbal comments that were received at the November Board of Directors meeting. These members of the public were Mark Hebert, who is a neighbor that lives within 300 feet of the site, Phil and Kate Allen, who are adjacent neighbors to the project site, Becky Steinbrunner, John Hibble, who is also a neighbor, and Peter and Teresa Delfino, who are adjacent neighbors. Next slide. So the documents before you tonight consist of the final ISMND, which is the draft ISMND that has been updated in strikeout and underlined format to account for some revisions that were made in response to the comments received on the draft ISMND. There is also the mitigation monitoring and reporting program, which provides a summary of the mitigation measures that are identified in the final ISMND for the project, as well as some details on the implementation actions and implementation responsibilities. And the last document is the response to comments on the draft ISMND, which provides responses to all of the comments received during the public comment period on the draft ISMND. Next slide. So next steps for the project, the Board of Directors will consider adoption of the final ISMND tonight. And following adoption of that final ISMND, the District Board of Directors will then consider project approval. Again, should the project be approved, the County of Santa Cruz will then consider approval of the project's coastal development permit, which is anticipated to occur early next year. That is my last slide. I also do have some comments that were received today that I am going to provide responses to. They were comments received or submitted by Ms. Becky Steinbrunner. And I've been asked to provide responses to those verbally so that they are read into the record. So the first comment from Ms. Steinbrunner was on page 6 of the ISMND. It describes the process, but it's a bit vague, only stating that a granular activated carbon GAC process would be used. It seems that the GAC treatment would occur in 2 12-foot high vats, each 10 feet in diameter. She asked, would the GAC vats be flushed to refresh the material's absorption capability? If so, what would happen with the effluent? So the response is that the district did not include a backwash process for the GAC media because the backwash would likely be disposed of in the sewer should they do that, and the district does not want 123 TCP coming back to the Pure Water Socal project to be injected back into the aquifer. So as a result, the GAC media will be off-hauled by the vendor when it is exhausted and replaced with a fresh supply. The media will be disposed of at an appropriate facility that safely handles this type of material. Her next question series asked how often the GAC media would have to be replaced and what would that process involve? So as stated on page 13 of the final ISM&D, the GAC media would be replaced approximately every 2.5 to 3 years, and the spent GAC media would be hauled away for disposal or reactivation by the company delivering the replacement media. During a replacement event, 1 to 2 district operators would be on site for approximately 14 hours. Her next question is, what would be the source of chlorine used to treat the water for potable use, and how often would supply vehicles visit the treatment plant with chlorine for storage? So as stated on page 13 of the final ISM&D, sodium hypochlorite, which would continue to be used as a disinfection agent for water extracted from the existing and replacement wells, would be delivered to the site once a week. Her next question is, what is the expected life of the treatment plant? 50 years is a typical life expectancy for a treatment plant, and the project engineers will design to that. However, the treatment plant life expectancy is also dependent on the life of the wells. Her next question was, how deep is the existing well, and what was its production rate before being changed to standby use in 2017? As stated on page 77 of the final ISM&D, the existing country club well is drilled to a depth of approximately 500 feet. The production rate of the existing well averaged around 400 gallons per minute in 2017. The next question is, what are the potential impacts to the surrounding homes, especially the neighboring swimming pool, by the dynamite that will be used to demolish the existing well? And she states that she did not see that analyzed at all in the ISM&D. So as stated in response 9.3 to Ms. Steinbruner's comments, in the response to comments on the draft ISM&D, the district would follow the requirements of California Well Standards Bulletin 7490, Section 23, and Bulletin 7481, Section 23, which require the well casing to be perforated or punctured before filling with grout. Therefore, the district proposes to destroy the existing country club well using the fine pressure grouting method, which involves ripping the well casing and filling the well in with slurry, rather than using the blast destruction method. And no vibration would be created by using the fine pressure grouting method to destroy the well, which is why it was not analyzed for vibration impacts in the final ISM&D. Her next question is, how deep will the new well be, and what is the expected annual production rate of the new well? As stated on page 6 of the final ISM&D, the well will be drilled to a depth of approximately 530 to 540 feet, and the expected production rate would be 500 gallons per minute. Switch, there's another comment series that was submitted today as well. Okay, Ms. Steinbruner states that agenda page 222 states in a footnote that the district's National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System discharge permit is expired. She states that the project should not therefore occur until the district has reinstated a legal permit to discharge the anticipated 1.5 million gallons of water, likely high in 123 TCP and with high turbidity and sulfates, into Bush Gulch and ultimately the Monterey Bay National Marine Sanctuary. In response, as stated on page 12 of the final ISM&D, the existing statewide National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System permit, under which the district has coverage, is formally expired. However, the State Water Resources Control Board has advised the district in writing that until the statewide permit is renewed, the district's existing permit is administratively extended and continues to be active and in effect. Her next comment stated that on agenda page 222, it describes that construction effluent that will be discharged into the Pacific Ocean. She states that it is not the Pacific Ocean, but rather the Monterey Bay and inherently the Monterey Bay National Marine Sanctuary. She asks that this misinformation be corrected. In response, the Monterey Bay is a bay of the Pacific Ocean. Similarly, the Monterey Bay National Marine Sanctuary is a protected area of the Pacific Ocean. Both the Monterey Bay and the Monterey Bay National Marine Sanctuary are smaller geographic units of the overall Pacific Ocean, similar to how a neighborhood is a smaller geographic unit of a city. Therefore, the statement that produced water would be disposed of via the existing pump to waste pipeline to Bush Gulch, which eventually discharges to the Pacific Ocean during construction activities, is accurate as written and does not require revision. Her next comment states that agenda page 222 describes the volumes of construction materials, but does not provide an anticipated number of truck trips that these construction materials will require for transport through the residential neighborhood and school traffic. And then she cites a portion of the final ISMND that has to do with the amount of material to be demolished and hauled off the site. In response, the removal of demolished materials would require approximately 1 round trip by a haul truck during the demolition period. Soil export would require approximately 19 round trips by a haul truck over an 8-day period, which would be approximately 2 to 3 trips per day. And then material deliveries, including concrete transport, would require approximately 1 round trip by a haul truck per day during the well installation phase. Her next comment says that agenda page 222 states that project construction will require excavation and recompaction of most of the project site to depths ranging from 2 to 5 feet. She says no analysis of the vibrational impacts on neighboring swimming pools is included. And she asks what mitigations will be implemented to prevent masonry cracking to these structures and swimming pools. Vibration analysis on agenda page 310 is inconclusive and inadequate with regard to potential impacts on neighboring swimming pools. It is also inaccurate to claim that project construction would not involve activities typically associated with excessive groundboard vibration, such as pile driving or blasting, when in fact there will be blasting to demolish the existing well. Similar to the response I gave earlier, as stated in response 9.3 to Ms. Steinbruner's comments and the response to comments on the draft ISMND, the district would follow the requirements of California Well Standards Bulletin 7490, Section 23, and Bulletin 7481, Section 23, which require the well casing to be perforated or punctured before filling with grout. Therefore, the district proposes to destroy the existing country club well using the fine pressure grouting method, which involves ripping the well casing and filling the well in with slurry rather than using the blast destruction method. No vibration would be created by using the fine pressure grouting method to destroy the well. Our next comment states that page 304 documents significant and adverse construction noise at the project site. These levels of disturbance warrant the district to construct a sound wall on all 4 sides of the site to deflect these adverse nuisance noise impacts from nearby residences and the school. Ms. Steinbruner states that she is pleased to see on page 307 that the district will install sound walls or sound blankets on all 4 sides of the construction site at least 11 feet high. She urges the district to implement sound walls or sound blankets at least 20 feet high to shield the intense noise and light during well drilling operations. In response, Ms. Steinbruner's suggestion is noted. However, a 20-foot high wall is not necessary to mitigate construction noise levels to an acceptable level under CEQA. Her next comment states that on agenda page 305, the analysis of the operational noise generated by the 5 large exhaust fans is confusing and does not support the conclusion. And then she cites a portion of the ISMND related to the operational noise analysis of the exhaust fans. In response, an explanation of the operational noise analysis was provided in response 9.13 to Ms. Steinbruner's comments in the response to comments on the draft ISMND. The operational noise analysis in the final ISMND clearly states that operational noise would not exceed the county's noise level standards under multiple scenarios and provides substantial evidence, including quantification of noise levels, in support of that conclusion. Her next comment asks, how will Soquel Creek Water District notify area residents of the availability of offsite accommodation during the 24/7 well construction period, as is stated on agenda page 307? And she quotes from the final ISMND in mitigation measure N1 that says that the district shall offer to provide hotel accommodations for all residents within 100 feet of the project site for the duration of 24-hour well drilling activities. In response, as stated in response 9.5 to Ms. Steinbruner's comments, in the response to comments on the draft ISMND, the district would provide written notification of the schedule of 24-hour well drilling activities for local residents within a 500-foot radius of the project site within a month of such activities, or as soon as the district receives the contractor's construction schedule. The notification would either be via mailed notices or hand-delivered door hangers. The district would also post the notification on its website. In addition, the district would develop a contact method for offering hotel accommodations for all residents within 100 feet of the project site for the duration of 24-hour well drilling activities, which would likely consist of requesting contact information and the preferred method of contact for each resident within a 100-foot radius via the previously mentioned written notification. The district would then contact each resident within 100 feet of the project site prior to each extended construction and drilling event to offer accommodations, hotel accommodations. And then Ms. Steiner's last comment stated that Appendix A of the final ISMND is not readable on a standard computer screen, and she requests that this document be made available in hard copy at the Capitola and La Selva Beach public libraries for public review. And as a note, Appendix A was the document that had the project plans included in it. Appendix A was provided to the public via the district's website on the project when the draft ISMND was released, and it remains available to the public. Also, as part of the county's review of the coastal development permit application, the project plans will be made available for public review as well. And that concludes the responses to Ms. Steinbruner's comments submitted today. Thank you.
Okay, nice job.
Yeah.
Okay, and so does anyone have any, or was there someone else going to speak, Taj or Annalise? Did you have more?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay.
Unless the board has any questions.
And public comment we would like to take now then.
We have one public member hand up. Ms. Steinbruner, your mic is available.
Hello, this is Becky Steinbruner. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much for answering my questions. That's excellent. And I apologize, I had not seen the responses. Again, I can only access this document from the public library, and there was no hard copy available, and I ran out of time at the computer. So thank you for addressing my questions so thoroughly. I really do appreciate that. I again would like to ask that a hard copy of these construction plans be made available at the library. I heard that they are available somewhere, but the district offices are closed. A simple remedy is just to make them available at the public libraries. I really have to take disagreement to the claim that it's going to be discharged into the Pacific Ocean. It is, but immediately it will go into the Monterey Bay National Marine Sanctuary. And that needs to be changed because that is the body of water that it will go into. We could say the plane is flying over the earth when it's flying over Santa Cruz, but the effect on Santa Cruz is the effect on Santa Cruz. So please, I hope you will change that because we are very lucky to sit here by the Monterey Bay National Marine Sanctuary, and we all need to protect it. Transparent in what's going into
30
it.
seconds.
Thank you. I would like to ask that that there is a higher sound wall here. The district did that at both the Willowbrook and the Monterey well, and I think it behooves the district to do the same for these people who will be listening to the 24/7 well development with intense lights. I don't understand why it would only be 11 feet.
Thank you, Ms.
It was a much
Steinbruner.
higher wall for the others.
Okay, is there anyone else that has public comment?
There are no other public members online present.
Okay. All right, then I will would go through the board members to see if they have comments or questions. So Bruce Chappie. Do you have any?
Muted. Yeah, unmuted. Just one question. It was on page 233 under air quality. There's two boxes checked under D. One is no impact and one is less than significant impact. Is that just a mistake?
It's a little hard to tell with the strike through underline, but what it's trying to show there is that previously the no impact box was checked by accident instead of less than significant impact. And so there's a very small cross out line going through it.
I didn't see that.
It is hard to see. The same thing happens in the section 9 hazards and hazardous materials.
Got it. Anything else, Bruce?
Nothing else. So
Okay.
it's a very thorough report.
Bruce Daniels.
Yes, I have one concern. On page 783, it mentions a copy of the stamped notice of determination filed at the Monterey County Clerk's office. And I can see that some of the state offices use Monterey County, but of course our project is going to be in Santa Cruz. Does that mean we need to file this notice of determination both places? And if so, which takes precedent in terms of the date of approval, or does it just get done here in Santa Cruz County? And is that okay with the Monterey District Office?
It would only be filed with the Santa Cruz County Clerk. I would think that was probably a typo with them. They may have just been typing quickly and did the wrong county clerk office, but it would not be filed with the Monterey County Clerk. It only needs to be filed with one.
I think we should communicate with that office and let them know where it will get filed. Because if they're going to sit there and wait for the Monterey office to have it, it'll be a long time. So, okay, that's was very thorough, and I went through it completely, and I think it's very good and very correct. And I like it. So thank you.
The only other thought I had is that maybe the district office covers Santa Cruz as well, because it's not a county office. It's like, it's
But you file this with the county's.
Oh,
clerk.
Monterey County Clerk. Yeah. Okay. Got it.
Well, we have one, they have one, and they're two
Got
of
it.
them.
Okay. I understand. Okay. Rochelle, do you have anything?
No, it was a good report. Thank you.
Carla?
I just had a question. In some of the letters from around the neighbors, they were talking about the height of the plant, the purification or the detoxing plant. Mark Hebert in particular, he said the 3-story, it was going to be 3 stories high, and that was out of keeping with the general building standards. Is that really true? I guess that's for Annalise. I don't know what the building standards are.
So it would be 28 feet in height, and that is within the height limit for this zone. So it's being regulated by the county through the coastal development permit application. I think their concern is they felt that it was out of keeping with the other residential homes around there, but it is fairly similar in height to them, although it may be a little bit taller.
I know when I looked at the schematics, the graphic pictures that were created to show the impact, I didn't notice that much of a difference in but then well, maybe there is some kind of a height issue there.
And something that the district did do is after the neighborhood outreach meeting that was conducted earlier this fall, that same concern was raised, and the district did decide to lower the elevation of the site underneath the building by a foot. Because they felt like they could do that and thus kind of lower the height a little bit compared to the other homes.
Oh, that sounds like a good approach. I very concise. Thank you for addressing the main comments on the EIR. So it's just a negative deck. I mean, really good job. No, thank you.
It looks like Bruce Jaffe, you have another question, or is your hand?
Not a question, it's more a comment. And it follows nicely on what Carla brought up. I was concerned with that. I drove out to the site today to look at the neighboring houses, and the land isn't flat, so that kind of helps a bit with decreasing, the height with the, it was, let's see, 225 was, I think, the one that was smaller, and there's 261 closer towards the ocean. That was quite a large structure. But I think whenever possible, we should, just as a policy, we are neighbors, and do whatever we can to design a structure that the neighbors are comfortable with, if possible at all. And along those lines, I think that trying to make it blend in as much as possible Even if it costs a bit more, I think that that's a wise move to make it fit in with the neighborhood. And I know there was a request for a hedge. I think it was 225, the one that's farther away. And I'm very supportive of those types of things. Once again, we are neighbors, and it's kind of a strange situation with just having, a well on a large lot in a neighborhood. So I'm in favor of doing whatever we can to make that impact as minimal as possible.
Okay, thank you, Bruce. I'm also in favor of trying to have it blend in as much as possible as well. Great job, excellent job on this, very thorough, and thank you for answering all the questions. There are several motions if anybody is interested to.
Looks like Carla might have her hand up.
Oh yeah, I just had one additional comment. Let's keep in mind why this project is to clean the water that's underlying all of that whole neighborhood. So I think we have to keep in mind that there's a net benefit to, the work that we did to get the funds to do this work and to redo the well and the plant. I think it's a really worthy project. And I'm really glad that it has a chance of going through now.
Agreed. Yeah.
And any motions? Bruce Daniels.
I will make the motion, both motions to adopt the resolution 2130 and approve the well and treatment plant.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Director Daniels,
Yes.
Vice President Christensen,
Yes.
Director Jaffe,
Yes.
Director Lather,
Yes.
and President LaHue.
Yes. Thank you very much. And Mike Wilson too, thank you for all your work. I know that you were a big part of this, and I'm sure Taj too. So we have a year in review slideshow next, item 7.4. I don't know who's in charge. Melanie, I'm guessing, might have had something to do with it, but I don't know.
Mel, I'm going to fill in tonight. Actually, we're going to bring back the year-end slideshow in January, but we didn't. Okay. We wanted to end it with one slide tonight.
Okay.
Just recognizing, this is the longest night of the year, and it's been a long year for many people, but I think it's been a good year for the district and our customers, and so we wanted to kind of close it out on this slide. This can everybody see that? It looks a little big on my screen. Okay. Yeah, showing kind of like I think 2 Fridays ago or something like that, the groundbreaking event and all of us out there. So I think we wanted to leave it in a good place tonight. If anybody wants to comment on this, that's wonderful. Otherwise, in January, we will do a more comprehensive review and kick the year off that way.
That's great. I mean, I guess I just wanted to say there have been a lot of challenges in 2021 all over the world, and it's been tough for a lot of people. And I just feel like through all of that, we've kind of, everybody, staff and our consultants and board have persevered to push and keep going and make this happen. And we're actually going to make a difference for the long-term health of our groundwater basin. And so, I don't know, I think it's nice to have something really positive that we've made a difference. So thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks to everybody.
Anybody else?
See you all next year.
Okay, well.
Happy New Year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mike's even got a Christmas tree in the background. That's nice. I like it. All right. Well, thank you again, all. Then we will go to number 8, adjournment, and we will see you. I don't remember the exact date of the meeting. Probably the 18th. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so see you on January 18th. There isn't a meeting on the 4th due to the holidays and everything. So
Yeah.
Enjoy.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Have a happy new year, everybody.
Yeah.
Happy New Year. Yeah.
Yeah.
Warm
Happy
holidays.
Okay. Bye.
Hi, happy
Thank you.
holidays.
Bye-bye.
I have to figure out how to leave again.